was Easter weekend, what, 2 weekends ago, if that, last weekend. And I almost had a sensory overload meltdown in public. And I am over 40, right? So when you think about sensory overload or meltdowns or anything, a lot of times you're thinking about a child, you're thinking about a kid. But I find now as I'm going through this experience, and let me back it up real fast and put your hands up if any of this applies to you. I was a gifted kid who turned into a girl boss, then experienced massive burnout by the time I was 40. Life started melting down. I essentially packed my shit up and I moved to Bali in order to rebuild my life and reset my nervous system because I got massively unwell from burnout. And then through the process of having my child, because I'm also too a single mom, brought my son with me to Bali, discovering he has ADHD, bad enough that we started seeing specialists and things like that. And through that process, realizing that your girl probably has AuDHD. So while it might be like self-diagnosed, apparently self-diagnosed is like a real thing. And it started like clicking buttons for me. Like, this is why my life is like this. This is why I behave like this. This is why I respond like this. This is why certain things are so hard for me. And the day, Easter Sunday, was a good example of what happened. So long story short, I had to take my son and leave the playground before the magician came on Easter because I had probably 2 minutes before I started crying at that playground. It was too hot, too loud, too many people. I couldn't figure out what to eat. There was nothing on the menu I wanted. I had decision fatigue. My son had been like grabbing on me all morning, so I was already like touched out. I do have like a panic attack pill that I can take if I need to, but I didn't have any water to take it, and I was too overwhelmed and overstimulated to even make the decision to ask for the water. So it was just like a series of things that just cascaded down upon me. And what's so funny is that when I took my son for another assessment, they gave me this, right? Which was like a sensory processing form. And they were saying some of the things that I had been talking about my son. It was like, they feel like some of it is a sensory processing issue, right? And if we can figure out what's overstimulating him, we can help him like self-soothe faster, or also help like avoid some of the meltdowns. So for shits and gigs, I was like, oh, let me take it myself. I know I am a very sensitive person. I already knew that about myself. There's certain things like my family knows, like I don't like big bright lights, stuff like that. But baby, let me tell you, when I took this form, I was like gagged. So I'm going to give you the questions and the answers, and you can see for yourself where you're landing on this form, because a lot of us, especially us like high performing, hyper competent, over 40, Black women, grew up gifted, whatever, a lot of us are melting down right now. We're not entirely sure why. And for some of us, we're actually struggling with ADHD, AuDHD on top of everything else, and we don't know. So I'm going to read through some of this for you. All right. The first thing that they talk about is actually the instructions. Says here, you're supposed to like rate each answer with a number. 0 meaning never, 1 meaning rarely, 2 meaning sometimes, 3 meaning often, right? So you start here, auditory processing, which is like hearing and sound sensitivity. Is it covers ears or becomes upset with loud noises? I sometimes do that. So I had like around like a 2 or 3, right? Easy to distracted by background noise. I also have that. Does not respond when name is called, even when there's no distraction. I don't have that. Seeks loud sounds or makes loud noises. I also don't do that. I do enjoy a nice party, but I can't be right next to the speaker or things like that. And also too, like I startle easy. I can't do like ambulance or police siren, any of that stuff. Number 2, visual processing, sight and light sensitivity. Squints, blinks frequently, or avoids bright light. I avoid the big light like no one's business. I don't even know like why that's invented. Unless we're looking for something, I don't want the big light. Give me dim, give me moody, give me lamp, give me natural. I hate, especially a fluorescent, hate it. Has difficulty maintaining eye contact. I don't really struggle with that. The only time I do is when I don't like someone looking deep inside of me, and I avoid looking deep inside of people, if you know. Like, let me know in the comments if you know what that means. Enjoys watching moving objects, IG fans, spinning wheels, not really. Overly focused on small visual details, patterns, or textures, sometimes, right? Next one, tactile processing, touch or texture sensitivity. Avoid certain clothing textures, tags, or seams. My friends make fun of me because I always say all the time, I'm team no seams. Like when it came to the pandemic, like baby, like I like everything soft, comfy, cozy. Like, I mean, I do love fashion, so I will be a little uncomfortable for fashion, but I have to make the choice in advance for that. But a tag in the back of the neck, that could torture me for an entire day. I can't let that go. Getting hands dirty, e.g. finger painting, sand, food textures. Not so much. Avoids or seeks out hugs and physical contact. Now, I love physical contact from people that I know and I want it from. I am not someone, I like surprise hugs or stuff like that. It depends. And if I'm already overstimulated, I prefer no touch. Frequently touches objects or people. I do like to run my hands on things. Now we have a next one, oral sensory processing, taste and texture of food. Gags easily or avoid certain food textures. I think a lot of us might also fall into that as well. Prefers only certain food textures, crunchy, soft, smooth. Bites, chews, or sucks non-food items. It's crazy. When I was younger, I used to bite everything. All of my sleeves were always chewed up, things like that. And avoids or craves spicy, sour, or very strong flavors. This area, I was like the most quote unquote normal in. My son had a lot of sensory issues in that particular area. Then we have 5, vestibular, and correct me if I'm saying that wrong, vestibular processing, which is balance and movement sensitivity. I am the clumsiest person. Avoids activities that involves movement, swing, slides, running. I like those things. I also like roller coasters and stuff like that. Becomes dizzy easily or dislikes spinning. That is me. I cannot do any rides like this or stuff like, I get dizzy. If I stood up in a circle and span around like 3 times, I'd be like, it's awful. Seeks out movement, spinning, rocking, jumping, not so much. But that might be also too because I'm like older and tired. And has difficulty with balance or appears clumsy. My balance is shit. I'm super clumsy. I always have bruises. This is what it is. And this one, proprioceptive processing, which is body awareness and pressure needs. Frequently bumps into objects and people. High on that one. Seeks deep pressure, tight hugs, weighted blankets, squeezing objects. I do love a weighted blanket or something on top of me when I'm like laying down trying to relax, but only when I want it. If I don't want it, it's very overstimulating. Avoids tasks requiring fine motoring skills, which is like buttoning, cutting with scissors, etc. My family makes fun of me because I'm like, anything that you've learned, even though I've built my own business, my own 7-figure business, artificial intelligence, consultant, whatever, anything pre-first grade, not your girl. I can't cut in a straight line. I can't stick. I can't do any of those things. Everything is a mess. So I thought that was very interesting. Walks on tiptoes frequently. I know they mainly talk about that with like autistic children. I've never done that, so I haven't seen that. And then the last one here was interoception, which is internal body awareness. Has difficulty recognizing when they're full or hungry. Not me. Struggles to identify when they used to use the toilet when I was a kid. Has trouble regulating emotions, i.e. extreme reactions to minor frustrations. Before I spent 13 years in therapy, 1,000%. It's a lot better now, but I still have my moments where things are piling up. But I think that also comes from like masking all day and then I'm just too overstimulated. And also too, I have a Velcro child and he overstimulates the shit out of me. And it finally appears unaware of injuries, does not react to scrapes or bruises. Me somewhat. So here they have the scoring, right? 0 to 10 means low sensory sensitivity. The child may not have significant sensory concerns. 11 to 20 is mild sensory processing differences. Child may have some sensory preferences but can adapt. 21 to 30, moderate sensory challenges. Child may benefit from sensory strategies and accommodations. And 31 plus, high sensory needs. Consider seeking professional support for sensory integration strategies. Why was your girl 52? I got a 52. When I tell you going through this experience, and if you're neurospicy and your kid, which odds are they're going to end up being neurospicy, and you start going through all of the seeing the doctors and stuff like that, when I tell you this shit humbles you and stresses you out and it puts you on Front Street because you're like, that is me. I don't know. It's genetic, right? So as they're going through it, you might find out you have it too. And for me, for some people, a lot of people don't like the labels. They don't want to know, whatever. For me personally, I am grateful to be finding out this information because I have been suffering my whole life with some of this stuff. And I always thought it was just because I was weird. Why couldn't I be normal? Why couldn't I be like everyone else? Why do I make things such a big deal? And it turns out I just have a brain that works differently. So if that is you, if you had a similar story or whatever, like let me know. Let's chat about it. But I thought this was wild. And let's see what I do with this information. As of now, I'm just still processing it, but we'll see.